I think there are three major areas for the, if you really see the risk as such, compliance risk. There are three areas for any pharmaceutical company. One biggest risk is the FDA, where the regulation in terms of manufacturing is controlled. So we are having two US FDA approved facilities. So naturally, that is something which becomes a very important factor of regulations. The second part of the regulation, which is there, is in terms of the disclosures. So the medicines, because we are dealing with medicine, naturally the disclosures are also very important. So whether it is the inner or whether it is the disclosure of the product contents, and all those kind of compliances are also something which are very important for our pharma industry. These are regulations which are related to my industry per se. Apart from that, in general also, the compliances in terms of the corporate governance, in terms of the stock exchange, because we are a listed entity. So all those compliances are also something which are definitely there. Now, question is whether you consider it as a risk or whether you consider it as a just a compliance is something which one has to see from the angle of what system you have put in place. And I think fortunately for us, we have a good system in place which can really track the all these compliances on a online basis or 24 by 7 basis. And that's the beauty of it. That's where we are able to really, trying to atomize maximum processes so that we can have these risks monitored on a regular basis. Very good question, because this is what you must have seen in pharma industry in India. There are implications which have happened in the recent past for many of the pharma companies, not being compliant with the US FDA regulations, and because of that, there are three major risks, as you rightly said. One is the reputation risk first, which is the most important, risk which is there of reputation. Second, of course, is your business can stop. So they may stop the import of products from your factory, or all those kind of things are happening, and because of that, there will be financial impact naturally. So all the three impacts are going to be there if there is any risk which is where we are not compliant with. I will say that if you really want to grade them in from 1 to 3 in terms of the severity, I think the first and foremost is the your reputation risk, because that really can hamper your future sales also, future business also. Second is of course the temporary stoppage of your products, etc. And the last one is of course the financial impact for the period for which it is something which is not there. So all those kind of things are there. I think there are three different ways by which we monitor this. Number one is, of course, the whatever changes are happening, there is a system in the organization where we call it change control, where we try to catch whatever changes are happening in any laws, whether it is taxation, whether it is regulatory, whether it is related to compliance of maybe even the factory rules or anything for that matter, labor matters, etc. Everywhere there is a system that as soon as there is a change which is known in any regulation, definitely you are supposed to analyze that respective team analyzes it and then put it up to the management committee, and then management takes the call on things which are to be taken on that count. That is number one. Second, we also have software, outsourced software called Comrisk, where all these regulations are mapped. So automatically, any changes in any regulation, the vendor of the software also make the changes accordingly in the software to map those compliances. So automatically we come to know there as well. And third, which is again very important, is the impact analysis of the changes, because these changes can really impact the organization in different manner, in terms of the timings, in terms of the various regulation. Like for example, taxation regulation which are coming after the budget is a major change which comes in. For a CFO, taxation becomes an important thing, and automatically at that time you have like suddenly many changes which are impacting all your profitability, even though you have not done anything. So those kind of changes are definitely being mapped, and also impact assessment is done on that, and then whatever corrective actions have to be taken, those things are taken. One small aspect of this is the maintenance of records in terms of the changes, because that is something also is becomes very important, and that is where again there is a big process which we have within the organization, where all the impacted departments are told that these are the things which are changing, and that's why you need to really take note of it and also do their process changes accordingly. So that is also another aspect which we try to cover. I think the major thing in this is first the compilation of the changes. That is most important. And there we have a very clear identified team of members who are supposed to do this particular job regularly. So they scan all the regulations, etc., on a regular basis, and then they keep that informed and put the change control, etc. That is one part of it. The second part of it is then the impacted departments, those who are impacted because of that. That is something which are being informed that, okay, these are the changes which are there. Like for example, just to give you an example, the BRSR became compulsory. Now, BRSR became compulsory under the listing guidelines. Now, listing guidelines changes, whatever had happened, we immediately came to know. But then BRSR is involving the entire organization, because governance is different, people management is different, your production areas are different, your environment friendliness and all that again is dealt with in the factories or the R&D. So there are various departments which are involved in that BRSR report. So as soon as it became compulsory, immediately we started talking to all the concerned departments, got them together, informed them about the changes, and we found that we don't have the skill sets within the organization to know everything about it. So immediately we look for some outside experts who can really help us in that particular area. They came in, and those people then advised us, they guided us. So there were some trainings which were given to some of the people who are actually on the ground and are supposed to collect that data or maintain that data. All that was done. Also, there was a need for compilation of that data in a very seamless manner, because it involved almost about 12 locations and different data, different departments. So there was an integration software which we bought for that particular purpose, so that all the data comes in one place and we can view it together. So the entire system becomes operational as soon as the changes come. So it is something which is very, very well laid out, and also formalized or documented in a manner that everybody comes to know and everybody knows what they are supposed to do in the change circumstances. See, as I mentioned earlier, there is a software which maps the entire compliances across the organization, whether it is accounts, finance, production, quality, everywhere there are compliances, and all those compliances are mapped, even HR for that matter, all the compliances are mapped in that particular software. So there is a system by which the software itself indicates to the person who is supposed to do the compliance at least about 1 month before that, this compliance is due now within 1 month. Now you need to start taking the action. Once that person takes the action, he gives some update in that particular software. If he has not done that within, say, a particular time, week or 2 weeks, immediately the matter goes to his next superior, who is supposed to then trigger that, boss, this something is to be done and it is not being done. And if the thing is not being handled there also, then it goes to the top management, the people like me or the our head of operations. We are getting those mails saying that this compliance is pending or this compliance is getting delayed, it is not happening. And all this, whatever compliances are there, this entire report goes to the board every quarter when the board meets, and also the risk management committee. So both of them are given this report directly from the software. So we don't have any control on or any interference in that. So everything is generated by the software that these many compliances were not done or whatever, and then we are supposed to give the explanation that why that was not done. Fortunately for us, so far that situation has not come for giving the explanation. But yes, I think that system is there in the software where it is mapped and the next person is informed immediately. Plus, also there is a dashboard where people like me or operation chief or my MD, all of us can see the map in terms of how the whole compliances are happening, how many delays are there, or what delayed, why delayed. All those kind of things are there on that dashboard, which we can see it online. This is something which is a little difficult. We are trying to do that for last about 2 years now because BRSR wanted that. But I think there are, I will say that we, at least the basic things are being taken care of definitely. Like for example, any vendor who is supplying any material, whether it is packaging or raw material or any material which is supplying, there are vendor audits which are conducted by our commercial department before joining hands with them and purchasing anything from them. So that is something which is compulsory in terms of the basic ingredients. So that is something which is non-compromisable and it has to be audited. And once the audit is passed, then only we buy the material from them. Otherwise, we can't buy the material from them. So that is one layer which is there. Second, now that we are trying to say that, okay, whatever ESG compliances we have, they should also have. So we are trying to take undertakings from them in terms of regulation about the HR, not employing the child labor or properly adhering to all the compliances about the PSIC regulations, etc., or related to the environment protection, the all the social requirement in terms of the all that we are trying to talk to them. But honestly, we are still not having any structured thing for that. It is only this year that we have started mapping all my major suppliers on the platform which I am using for my BRSR. So that platform is getting extended to these major vendors, and hopefully by March we should be able to connect all of them and get the data also from them, so that if there is anybody who is not able to comply with the data requirement which is there, I think we need to really rethink about dealing with that particular vendor. There are a lot of challenges. I think if I start mentioning the challenges, there, it may go on and on. But I think let me just tell you, 2-3 things which are very important. I think the challenges are always in terms of who will do that, and human mentality is very simple that, okay, this is not my job, this is somebody else's job. So we will try to pass on the buck to somebody else. That's very common, human mentality. But I think fortunately for us, because we have mapped it in the system itself, now nobody can say that it is not my responsibility, because it is mapped to that person and with his consent. So there is no question of going that. So fortunately, that is something which is not major problem for us. The another challenge which as I just now mentioned is about the vendors, outsiders who are for getting them in onboarded, number one, and also getting all the information from them becomes a little challenging, because that is something which is we have more than about 6,000 vendors with us, and connecting to all of them or trying to get at least the majority of them to get into the data, etc., becomes a little bit of challenge. So that is something which is definitely there. And the last challenge, as you rightly said, is in terms of the priorities. Typically, whenever there are pressing priorities, then you try to say that okay, we will do this little later. Fortunately for Ajanta Pharma, I think we have enough team members and also the priorities decided by the system itself, that was this is what is the priority, this has to be done. And most of it, what we have done is we don't allow the person to go to the next stage if he is not completing the first stage. So to that extent, he gets locked. So if somebody has not completed one compliance and wants to go to the next compliance, he will never be able to do that. So to that extent, we have reduced the challenge. But yes, challenges are always there. Wherever there are humans, there are challenges which are going to be there. But I think with the system and with the automation, things things have become really good, smooth, especially on the US FDA side or the FDA side compliances in terms of manufacturing. I think I can proudly say that we are one of those few companies in India who could atomize the entire production of my two facilities, and my quality control lab, which is going to give you the certification whether the product is really good or not, is something which is again automated. So nobody has the right to even change or has the authority or even the chance of making the changes in that particular thing. So it is completely automated, and that really ensures that the risks are reduced to the great extent. And I think, according to me, that is the only way by which you can manage your risk properly. Otherwise, very difficult. If you leave it to the human beings or if you leave it to the system, becomes very, very difficult if it is manual. But if it is automated, I think the you are relieved to a great extent.